Happy holidays, Destiny to Dynasty family. How are you? We are talking about how to set New Year's resolutions. Three video series. The first one, we talked about why most resolutions don't work. Today, we're going to talk about how to set resolutions with God. But first, the first step is to evaluate your previous year. So, how do you evaluate your previous year with God, which prepares you to set goals, which is what we'll talk about next video. Now, honestly, this does work best when you can hear the voice of God. And I believe that as Christians, that is something that all of us have available to us. The word says that my sheep hear my voice, and a stranger they shall not follow. So I'm going to talk to those who do hear his voice, and I have some suggestions for those who are challenged with that. Now, some people avoid wanting to evaluate the last year because they're concerned that they're going to hear a condemning voice. They're going to hear God say, you just messed up. This was a year where you didn't do anything right. And, and who wants to pray and then know that what they're going to hear is God telling you you messed up? If you hear that voice, that kind of a voice, that's not God. His word says that for New Testament saints, that there is no condemnation. There is no condemnation with God. I find that when he corrects us, he does it, he's a teacher. And he does it in such a way that it's surprisingly encouraging, as opposed to having you leave his presence feeling like, I'm never going to get it right. It's over. You know what I'm saying? He never talks to you that way. You come out of his presence encouraged. Let me give you a couple of examples. There was one year when I had this goal that I was going to lose this amount of weight. And, at the end of the year, it was kind of obvious that I hadn't reached that goal. And so what God didn't say was, yep, you just couldn't control putting food in your mouth. What he said to me instead was, daughter, until you can learn how to handle stress, that is one of your buttons. That's one of your what's the word I'm looking for? Those triggers that will motivate you to overeat stress. And if you allow me, I can show you how to handle stress better. That's not condemning, it's hopeful and helpful. Another time, I had this goal where I really wanted to be more sensitive to his voice throughout the day. The Bible says that when Jesus walked the earth, he only did what he heard his father, he only did what he saw his father do. He only said what he heard his father say. So he was that in tune with God all day. And I wanted to have that. And so at the end of the year, I could tell that I had made some progress toward that goal, but I was nowhere close to being as sensitive to him that all day long I could feel like he was directing everything that I did. And he knew that, and I knew that. But what he said to me was, daughter, there is a strategy that I can share with you that would help you to increase that. You've made some progress, and I did make some progress that year. There was a difference. My relationship to him was different, closer. But he said, but there is a strategy that will help you to go even deeper. And I'll share that strategy with you, family, in the next video. So again, you're not going to hear a condemning voice. You're going to hear a teaching, helpful, encouraging voice. So don't run away from asking him to give you an honest view of your year. Now, for those of you who are not able to clearly hear his voice, I recommend still that you just find a place in your home or wherever you go and where it's quiet, and put some light music in the background. That helps some people. And ask the question, what is your view of my year? And in that place, in the quietness, just be open to whatever thoughts come to your heart, whatever you sense to be true. Have a journal where you journal those things. And sometimes, and you'll sense some things because God has a different view of our year than we do, because He sometimes have, uh, unfortunately for us, different goals than we have set. And so, but He'll tell you, this is what I would want more of you of. This is where I would want. This is how I want to bless you more. And if you do this, then that positions me to do that. And so, acknowledge those things that you hear, not in a condemning voice, but as opportunities to learn more about yourself, opportunities to learn more about Him. And when you find areas that of growth that's needed, then you ask for it. You say, Lord, I see this. Can you help me this year to grow in this area? That's how I evaluate the year with God. And it will usually evaluate family relationships, my relationship with Him, my knowledge of the Word, where my business is. You know what I'm saying? There's various areas of my life, but what I find is that God doesn't try to work on everything at once. He usually has a couple of areas that He sees major to Him, and if I can work on those two or three major issues that He consider major, then other things kind of fall into place. So I hope this is helpful for you. And I pray that some of you really do take the time, try this year to see if you can evaluate your year with God, not with your intellect, not with your perception of what you think should happen, but you put all of your stuff aside. You lay it aside. And then you say, okay, God, I'm wanting to hear and sense, because often what you sense is still His voice. I will do a training one time on how to hear His voice, but often what you sense is Him. And sometimes it's obvious to you, things that where you needed change or growth. But do that. It sets you up perfectly for the next video in terms of setting goals. This helps you not to just set frivolous, unimportant goals for the year. That's what we're going to talk about next time. Until then, be blessed. I really hope that this blesses you. Give me your comments, because I do want to know what you think about what I'm sharing with you. Okay? Be blessed.